Most of you have seen the Terminator movies. A great AI takes over all the military infrastructure, and drones appear all over the place and destroy mankind. Does Bible prophecy say anything about drone warfare? We have an expert who's joined us who can answer that question. Folks, I'm here with Pastor Billy Crone of Get a Life Media. He's the author of Drones, Artificial Intelligence, and the Coming Human Annihilation, as well as The Final Countdown, Modern Technology, and many, many other books. These are just a few of the books in my Billy Crone collection. But Billy, you've written extensively about drones. I've seen the pictures of the Air Force Predator drones, giant aircraft that are manless, all the way down to new experimental drones that are the size of insects that can be used to inject poison in people. Where do you see drone technology going in end-time Bible prophecy?
Well, basically, take all your Hollywood media and movies that kind of promote drones, drone warfare, some of the science fiction movies, and it's not coming, it's already here. And most people don't realize it. One of the fun things that we got to do when we were doing that project that you're talking about, Attack of the Drones, Skynet is coming, is here in Vegas, we're only a short drive away from what's called Creech Air Force Base. And I didn't realize this until we did the study, but it's out in the middle of the desert, obviously here outside of Vegas. And it is the #1 headquarters for the drone operations for the United States in Afghanistan, I believe. And you would never know. You'd literally blink and you pass right by it. But out there, you can see, and every once in a while, you can see with the drones coming in, and it's all automated and controlled by these people in these little control rooms with joysticks and things of that nature. And they're basically going around the world, and of course, not just viewing, but if they want to take a target out, they can. And it isn't just the Predator drones. And we learned this, and we actually interviewed 4 different military guys. And what they shared with us was stuff that is declassified information. And just the declassified information blew me away with where they're at with this technology. But basically, it's not just military equipment that fly in the air. It's pick any piece of military equipment. It could be a submarine. It could be a boat. It could be a Jeep, a supply vehicle. It could be tanks. Anything in modern weaponry, they can basically drone out without having humans drive it anymore. And then, of course, they can control it all on a global basis. Now, what they're also doing, instead of just the military vehicles, they're also mimicking nature. So I remember I was preaching on Big Brother issues a couple of years ago in Hawaii. And, it was a rough gig, Nathan. I mean, sometimes you get Jersey, sometimes you get Hawaii. What are you going to do? But
the life of a preacher, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, after I got done talking about that, of course, there's a lot of military bases in Hawaii, right? He comes up to me, he says, Pastor Billy, he says, you are so spot on. He says, in fact, I just recently retired from the military. And granted, this was a couple of years ago. He says, 9-10 years ago, they had robotic sharks. I saw them with my own eyes. He says, you couldn't tell the difference between it was a real one. It ain't like the Jaws movie. It's like, okay, that's mechanical. He says, you couldn't tell it. He said, but it was a drone. And so that got my brain going. So I was like, are you serious? Basically, Nathan, they're doing robotic cheetahs. They're doing, I even found in Australia, they got robot kangaroos, right? It's just crazy. And it's not just animals on the ground, but a lot of these with DARPA is who's creating a lot of this. That's the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, who makes a lot of this technology for the military, for US anyway. And they're equipping them with weaponry, right? And so, but it's not just animals on the ground. They've got drone stingrays. Again, I mentioned sharks and things of that nature. The fly one came in, and it not only monitored, it showed, it came into a room and the guy didn't know it was there. He was looking out, with a gun through this window. The fly comes back and you can see the fly's point of view. And then all of a sudden, it launches a charge and takes the guy out in the back of the head.
How do we see this falling into end-time Bible prophecy then? We read in, for instance, Matthew 24, obviously nation against nation used in warfare. Yes. But we read about some really strange things, like, for instance, in Revelation 9, a 200 million man army with these locust-like creatures. And some have called these, I think they're demons, but some have said helicopters or drones. Do you think that drones will play a big role in the Antichrist control of the governments?
Well, I think it's going to be a part of answering the gigantic slaughter just in the first half of the 7-year tribulation that's mentioned there. You get into the seal judgments, that's just, you're in the first half again. And what's it say there? That there's going to be a global war that breaks out. And it says there 1/4 of the earth is annihilated, right? Now, again, as we see the progression of the 7-year tribulation, people say, well, that's going to be nuclear warfare. Well, I don't think so. You drop that many amount of nukes and everything comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Well, nuclear winter. Well, you don't see that. You see mankind, including the, unfortunately, Antichrist, continue his agenda to take over the planet. So, but still, you got to annihilate 1/4 of the earth right now, Nathan, would be about 2 billion people. So just in the first half of the 7-year tribulation, how are you going to annihilate nearly 2 billion people in quick fashion without using nuclear weaponry? Put all this drone technology together. You got drones in the sky, drones in the ground. You got drones, vehicles. You got drone jet fighters, drone tanks. You got drones that look like animals running all over the place. Oh, I didn't even mention this. They're also building drone Terminator robots. I know it sounds crazy. It's already in play.
Huh.
They're putting what's called neuromorphic chips, which is basically a fancy term for brain chip, into these drones. And our own military is predicting that soon they want to replace, listen to this number, 1/3 of U.S. combat soldiers with robot soldiers.
Huh.
And it's not just our country, it's around the world. So put all that together. How are you going to take out 2 billion people on the planet very quickly without using nuclear warfare? Simple. You take all this AI, this droned out technology, weaponry from planes to automobiles to submarines to jeeps to tanks to animals that are with weapons to Terminator robots on the ground, the new soldier that you can't kill. Oh, they love them. You know why they say? Because they don't whine, they don't complain. You don't have to give them medical coverage. And they do what they're told every single time. And they have no fear. They're the perfect soldier. So I think you put, and again, it's militaries around the world. So here's a global war. You launch this kind of weaponry from all these countries, you will annihilate 2 billion people very quickly.
Wow. Billy, that was very eye-opening. Folks, if you want to know more about drones, check out Billy's book and his sermons about artificial intelligence. Don't fear, if you put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ, you know that as Christians that we have a great future ahead of us. We're in scary times, but put your faith in Jesus. He will come and he will set up his kingdom on this earth soon. God bless.